What is up, guys? Welcome to the RPS Best Ball Show. I'm Bob with Simon and Snyder, as always. Kick it off with you this week, Snyder. How's it going, bud? How's your week been?
It's going pretty good. We continue to do really well in this preseason. I think there's been some pretty good edges for us. I mean, we just plug in the right guys to play the good plays, and it's been pretty good. Just letting the other guys make mistakes, so that's been well. I mean, we're approaching our last week of preseason next week, and then we'll have a week off, and then the real game starts. So I'm getting pumped up.
Yeah, me too. That's a good point. Just for like preseason NFL, RPS has been killing it. RPS NFL is the promo code, guys. Get you 15% off for life for our subscriptions if you feel like signing up. That's the promo code. Getting to you, Simon. This is your first week back from vacation. Well, 2 weeks actually. Second week back from vacation. How's it going not being in Florida?
Not too bad. It was nice, like I said, like to get away and actually go to like a beach, but now it's back to the grind. I get to come home and do some tasty preseason DFS and try to sort through that all that mess. So it's been fun.
Definitely a mess after what we've seen happen with Adam Trotman tonight. Doesn't look too great in that notes. We should just get into some preseason notes just in that case, just to kind of get moving here. Myles Gaskin. Everyone was afraid he was not going to play after Malcolm Brown got all the touches, but Gaskin's got a bunch of touches in the second game, and this is kind of the dress rehearsal now, being that it's only 3 preseason games. Simon, go right to you. Earlier on, you were drafting him. You haven't been drafting him as much. What are your thoughts on Gaskins?
It was encouraging for sure to see him have a bigger role in this second game. Kind of suspected with that first game that they were giving the new guy bigger opportunity to play with that first team offense, maybe test him out a little bit. And Malcolm Brown looked awful. So Gaskin clearly has more talent, but Brown is probably one of those guys that the coaches love for his pass blocking and stuff like that. So made sense that they would give him some run with the first team offense to see how he looked. But I think it's pretty clear from a fantasy perspective, a fantasy scoring perspective, that Gaskin would obviously be the preferred running back. But from a real football perspective, it's still kind of up in the air on which way they will lean in the week to week games. But I think Gaskin, I think you're pretty safe drafting him where his current ADP is, and that's kind of something that I was waiting to see where he settled, and he settled at around the 75 to 90 range in ADP, at least on Underdog, and I've been starting to draft him again now that I know he's kind of at his bottom probably.
Interesting. Snyder, you have a take there?
Yeah, I'm continuing to be high on Gaskins. I thought that, like Simon said, they were giving the new guy the run that last game. Yeah, it looks like Brown's just running mud out there. I mean, I don't think he has really any upside at all. And Gaskins is looking good. I got him in the 7th round yesterday, which is a great value, I thought. Some good things about Gaskin. He played on 2 of the 4 snaps on 3rd down, and he got all 3 of the snaps when they were inside the 10-yard line. So that's promising, as he should possibly be getting all the goal line work, I would hope and think. And he's got great upside out of the backfield as well. So I'm definitely still high on Gaskins.
I think did he punch one in? Did he get a touchdown?
I think he did.
I think he did, yeah. Yeah, I think he might even have caught a touchdown too, I think.
Yeah, which is definitely encouraging, because I think his biggest knock last season was that he was getting stuffed at the goal line every time. So, to see him score a couple times is, I mean, it's preseason obviously, but like it's still pretty.
But just to get the rep, in general, and then put it in, like that's.
Yeah. He caught all 4 of his targets and got a second touchdown through the air then, so that's definitely good to know.
Yeah, and the catches are good too, right? Like if we're playing PPR, obviously underdog isn't PPR, but Tua looks like a quarterback as not title. Sorry, Snyder pointed out last week that he's gonna check down. I was about to like go in on title for some best ball battles you've been having, but yeah, I think that's a really good take, and seeing him catch those passes and definitely getting the goal line work is good if you're a Gaskins owner. Haven't gotten to much Gaskins, but it's encouraging to see it for you guys. I know you guys like him a lot. So next guy up, Trey Lance. Snyder, how's Trey Lance? He obviously looked good the other night. What are your thoughts in terms of like his ADP and what you want to do with him in terms of your roster construction?
Yeah, he got off to a little bit of a rough start early in that game, but he was able to settle down, and then he put together two really strong drives, resulting in 2 touchdowns. He threw that last touchdown on a rope to Travis Benjamin, what I thought was a really impressive throw right in the
core play for me for preseason, just throwing it out there, Travis Benjamin, just throwing it out there.
I think Trey Lance definitely gives the 49ers the best upside, and he's the best option they have to win games going forward. So I expect him to take over the starting role. Like, I don't think he'll go week 1, but I would expect him to be starting before like week 4, I think, even week 4 at the latest, I think. But he's got the upside. He's got the rushing ability. He's got the arm. I mean, he's got it all, I think.
Yeah, he's definitely super talented. Simon, what are your thoughts around Trey Lance, and have you been drafting him? What's your take?
Trey Lance has been getting pretty expensive as far as drafting. He started probably in the 120 to 130 range in ADP, and now he's gotten down to where he's getting as early as pick 100. So I've kind of slowed down on drafting him. Same as Snyder, same thoughts. Like, he got off to a rough start this past game, but then looked, clearly like he had more upside than Jimmy. Jimmy G looked awful, like, in both games, and Lance has started off rough in both games, but then like shown his upside with a nice touchdown throw or some deep throws that Jimmy G would never take. So it's definitely encouraging to see that. I'm a little bit concerned with how long it'll take him to become the starter, because if they don't name him the starter at the beginning of the season, the 49ers, they have a super easy schedule. I was listening to the Warren Sharp podcast the other day, and they were talking about how easy the schedule was, and this is kind of a concern with if they don't give Lance the starting gig like right at the beginning of the season. If Jimmy G goes on a roll because he's playing all these easy teams, it's going to be hard to pull him and give it to the rookie. So it's kind of up in the air on when they would hit that rough patch where Jimmy G would falter and they'd be able to hand it over to Trey Lance. But I'm hoping that he gets it at the beginning of the season, because if they have the super easy schedule in the beginning of the year, that gives Lance an opportunity to find his groove and get used to the speed of the NFL and everything. But I guess we'll see how it plays out. Crossing our fingers that he gets the week 1 start. Jimmy G has not looked good in the preseason, so that's encouraging. But it's still, you never know how this will play out.
So I'm with you. It makes it really difficult if you let Jimmy G start week 1, just because for everything you just said. And let's not forget, like 2 years ago, Jimmy G won the Super Bowl with Kyle Shanahan. Like, they can go on that roll. So I think they need to start Trey Lance out the gate for my best ball shares, but also for the fact that they need to get him some run early, just to make sure you can. It's a lot of just hope for my best ball shares, but yeah, I just feel like you have to play Trey Lance. Justin Fields. I read some comments, obviously, Andy Dalton saying that he wanted to be the starter, this is his time and stuff like that. I thought Justin Fields really had a good response to that whole situation, and he was basically, Andy Dalton was getting booed by the fans in Fields comes in and he backs Dalton up, and you see that maturity, and you like to see that just in terms of him and his growth. So just some off the field stuff I think is very interesting in his take in that situation. Snyder, what are your thoughts on Justin Fields and the Andy Dalton quarterback battle there in Chicago?
Yeah, I think it's clearly Justin Fields is the better talent. I mean, he looks night and day better out there, better than Andy Dalton. I mean, Dalton was out there just really struggling. Fields gets in there. I mean, Fields has got the legs. I mean, he had the rushing upside. He had 46 yards rushing this game. He's showing really good there. His arm strength's really good. I think that they will start Andy Dalton week 1. I mean, they're playing the Rams. I kind of think that they might just throw him out to the Wolves, kind of at the Rams. Dalton's not going to look good there. Then they can bring in Fields for the next game, and I think that they could go on a little type of run there once they get past that tough game on the first game. So I'm looking for Fields to maybe even come in second half of the first game or start the second game.
No, I'm with you. I think Fields should be in there as early as possible. Really don't see the point in playing Andy Dalton at this point. Simon, I feel like your thoughts are going to be the same.
Yeah, I think that Fields looked a little rough in the second game, not as good as the first game. He took a big hit where his helmet going flying off, holding onto the ball a little too long or something. But same thing. It's just like Andy Dalton sucks, and he's shown that in the preseason. He did have one, like, it felt like a lucky bomb to he came out to all the boos, and then he threw like a 79-yard touchdown, and like everyone's like, like they weren't like super excited about it. Like everybody's like, God damn it, we didn't want you to do that. We want Fields. But I think Fields may actually get the start sooner than Trey Lance, because the Bears aren't going to have as easy a schedule as the 49ers. They're not a contender, and it's going to be a lot easier to pull Andy Dalton than it is to pull Jimmy G. So I have a feeling that Justin Fields could be a starter in the NFL sooner than Trey Lance. I think it's kind of trending that way. And I think that, like with Justin Fields going around like 125 to 130 as far as ADP, he's definitely a better buy right now. He's obviously not in as good an offense as Trey Lance is, and he doesn't have the coaching that Trey Lance does. So he's not in a better situation than Lance, but he's in a situation where he will be starting sooner than Lance. I would guess.
Yeah, I'm in this. I think that Fields will be in there sooner, which is kind of disheartening because I want to see Trey Lance play. But I think it makes more sense that Fields will start before Lance, and definitely should start eventually ahead of Andy Dalton. I really hope the Bears don't start Andy Dalton week 1. Next guy up, Travis Etienne, named the third string running back for the Jags behind James Robinson. Simon, we'll kick it off with you. What are your thoughts on Etienne and James Robinson situation?
We've been bullish on Bobby, especially on Robinson, since we started doing these shows. But I've been more bullish on Etienne than Robinson. And after seeing that first preseason game, you can't read too much into the preseason, obviously, but it just didn't. I didn't feel like he was getting a lot of playing time, and a rookie in a preseason, I felt like should get more reps or like more touches, like in a preseason game, just to kind of get him acclimated. And then tonight, like preseason game, the second preseason game is going on right now as we're recording this, and Etienne was pulled out of the game with a foot injury and is questionable to return. So, I mean, he's not going to be getting any more run in this game. So hopefully that third game we'll be able to get a really good look at him. But the Jags offense just looks like shit. Like they look
I thought
horrible.
The same thing, man. They look
oh my
bad.
God. Yeah, they can't. They had against the Saints backups, I believe. Like they've had one first down in like 1.5 quarters. So they just look awful. The only functioning piece of that offense right now is Laviska Shenault, and they're not. He looked like he was getting deeper passes this week than he was last week. They were using him a little bit better, but like that offense in general, like looks like in a void right now. It just looks like shit. It looks like an old man coach came in and he took over the team.
Well, that is pretty much the situation.
Yeah, right? Yeah, exactly. Like he's just giving it like a vanilla like offense. But hopefully Snyder, we were talking before the show, and Snyder was kind of hoping along with me that it's just they're saving the best stuff for the season, but maybe Snyder has a different take.
I wouldn't get your hopes up. This seems to be what maybe, obviously we haven't seen the development of Lawrence, but this could be what Urban Meyer pretty much is going to bring to the table, like a very vanilla scheme. And I don't know, it's very worrisome in my opinion. But JSURab, I think JSURab's a good play. Still think he's one of the better values in best ball. Snyder, you want to hit on the Etienne Robinson situation?
Yeah, I need to see a little more out of Etienne. I mean, he didn't get much work in the first game, and this week he had one target, one catch for 3 yards, and one carry for like 1 yard. So they're not really using him much, saving him kind of, I think, maybe. But yeah, he did leave this game with that injury. So as far as like drafting him, I'm not gonna like be actively drafting him. I mean, if he falls to a certain point where I think there's a good value on him, I'll take him. But yeah, with this Jags situation, I really hope that they're just out there running through the motions, just with this vanilla scheme, not wanting to show anything away before they get to the real games. And I think Urban Meyer might have some secrets up his sleeve and has some type of plays and some. I think it'll look a little better than this, but that offensive line really scares me, and I kind of worry for Trevor Lawrence. And Robinson definitely looks to be the lead back and looks better so far, but definitely something to watch on as we keep going on this process.
Just to add to that O-line comment, I feel bad for these rookie first overall picks that end up on these shitty teams with no O-lines, and they're just getting slaughtered. Like
no O-lines and no coach. They don't have a coach.
Yeah. Like, I mean, Joe Burrow just last year, just destroying his knee, and then he comes back and they draft a first-round wide receiver instead of the Penei Sewell. And I mean, the position that caused the injury to Burrow wasn't Sewell's position, but they do need to strengthen the O-line. That doesn't change that fact. But Burrow, he's supposedly looking a little bit better recently in camp, but Chase is still looking awful, and he's dropping passes left and right in the preseason game. So hopefully he shakes off that rust pretty soon, because we're all pretty heavily invested in him. But yeah, I mean, back to that the Jags, like that O-line looks awful, and Trevor Lawrence. You just gotta feel bad for him, because he's getting sacked left and right tonight. He's just getting lit up. So, and that's with I don't even think, like, is it the Saints' first stringers, or are they all backups in there right now?
I think it's their second team. I haven't seen like Cam Jordan or any of those guys out there. I didn't think.
Yeah, they're in trouble if that's the case. Yeah.
Lat Murray, speaking about the Saints transitioning to the Saints offense from their second string defenders. Snyder, what are your thoughts on Latavius Murray?
Yeah, I'm kind of worried about Latavius Murray going through here. I mean, we saw he played some today. He had 4 carries for 6 yards only. He had a couple catches for 4 yards. I mean, I'm kind of worried about him even making this team. I think there's some rumblings that some of these other guys are pressing him more, and they could even cut him. I have a bad feeling about, and because they got Freeman, and they got this Jones Jr. kid who's looking good. He had 5 carries for 24 yards this game. He's got some pop to his step, and I think Lat Murray might have almost run his course here, and he might be on the chopping block. So I'm definitely looking to avoid him in drafts going forward.
Yeah, I'm with you. I haven't really been drafting a ton of Latavius Murray. I haven't been drafting a ton of Alvin Kamara, which could be an issue if Winston starts to play, but I don't know. I'm not too bullish on Latavius Murray at this point. Simon, do you have any thoughts on the Lat Murray situation in New Orleans?
I was drafting a lot of him early on, and then when the stories started coming out that he was on the cut line, I just stopped, and you can see it, like a lot of people just stopped drafting him altogether because his ADP has gone from around like 120 or so down to about like 150. So people are definitely onto the Latavius Murray situation. They're avoiding him. If you wanted to take the contrarian stand on that situation, you can get him pretty cheap right now if he ends up like maintaining his role that he's had in the past. You can get him for a very cheap price, but at this point I'd rather not take that risk. I'm already in deep enough with those exposure to Latavius Murray, not like too huge or anything, but I was drafting him a significant amount, so I'm not happy about like hearing that news. Hopefully, though, like if he did get cut, he'd end up somewhere like the Rams, and he could.
That's a good. That's how to be optimistic. Yeah, no, that's not the worst call. Yeah, I think Darrell Henderson left practice today with like a hand injury.
Yeah, I heard about that too. Yep.
I don't know what the severity of it was.
Yep.
Yeah, so speaking of injuries, let's get into some injury updates. Carson Wentz should be back week 1. Thoughts there? Anyone have any thoughts there? Colts are optimistic. Are you guys drafting him later? What are you kind of doing?
Yeah, Carson. Yeah, he returned to practice today. They're saying that he's optimistic playing week 1. I need to see how he responds from these early workouts and stuff. How the ankle and everything responds and how he feels. He says that as long as he can't re-injure this and it's not going to hurt him or hold him back any, he says he's completely fine playing through this. He says he's played through a way worse of injuries and pain, so he's definitely fine with that aspect of it as long as it's not going to kind of hurt him down the road more than it is. But if everything's good, he says he's ready to go. But I could see the Colts maybe holding him back for 1 or 2 weeks.
If he doesn't play week 1, it could hurt his career down the road. Like, he needs to get in there and play and show something, right? Like, we need to see it. It just is what it is with Carson Wentz. Hopefully it goes right. I think it will go well with Frank Reich. I think he's in a really good situation, but definitely needs to step it up and, I don't know, show what he's got. I want to see him out there week 1. All these Colts, you can kind of get at a value too. Whether it's Michael Pittman or Mo Alley Cox, if Wentz is playing, like they're all good plays. Naeem Hines.
Yeah,
I would get in there.
Yeah, I mean, I would add too that old lineman is in the same situation. It's looking like he's going to come back, possibly by week 1 too. So Jonathan Taylor has been going in the mid to late second round, so he's a value there. I wasn't drafting him in the beginning, but now if he falls to me in that second round. After the receivers and Barkley and Gibson are off the board, then I'll take Taylor. I've been grabbing a decent amount of him lately, but also I'd say Paris Campbell is going at 160, so his value has not corrected itself since the news that Carson Wentz is potentially playing week 1. So he's still super cheap. Pittman kind of did the opposite. He was going probably around like 110 to 120 range before the Carson Wentz news, and then he just kept climbing. So he's close to, you can get him at like ADP of 100 now. So he's a little more expensive. But Paris Campbell, I think, is the value in this situation, and Carson Wentz's price hasn't corrected since this news came out either. So you can still get him as your second QB, close to the probably like the 15th, 16th round, like or later. So
yeah, I don't mind that at all.
Yeah, you can still get a good value on him and use him as your backup.
Yeah, I was pretty high on Pittman coming in before this Wentz injury. And that only makes me want to go back to him even more right now. I mean, he's that big, tall receiver that Wentz usually went to at Philadelphia. So I think Pittman could be a big second-year leap here as well.
Yeah, I love Pittman and Cox for that matter. If you're drafting a tight end late, then you get Cox like free 18th round. Um, for a tight end position if you don't get a tight end earlier in the draft. And then there's an easy stack down there too with Wentz and Cox or Wentz and Paris Campbell or it's pretty much Michael Pittman's just been a guy I've been bullish on all year as well. Didn't really matter about the Wentz injury. Rashod Bateman, Snyder, your guy, Baltimore rookie receiver. He's back at practice. What are your thoughts there in terms of his injury situation?
Yeah, he underwent surgery about a week ago, and he's back to running routes, and it looks like he could be back even by the early part of this year. And John Harbaugh said he was even hopeful that Bateman could return for that first week game against the Raiders. So we'll see how that goes. If this transitions well, I was definitely high on him coming in because I think he's got that game-changing ability. He can go up and make the catch. He can run all the routes. Definitely will be the best receiver I think Baltimore has. And he's got that ceiling. He can like break a game open. His draft stock has really been plummeting, so I think it's about time to buy back in on him.
Yeah, I like the call. Not too bullish on Baltimore receivers, but I understand. Like, if you think Bateman's going to come in and do what Marquise Brown really hasn't been able to do in that offense, taking that shot and buying the dip, like, there's nothing wrong with that at all. Simon, your thoughts on Bateman?
Same. Like when I started hearing the news that he's running routes already, he's not. I think it's non-contact still in practice, but he's running routes, which is the important thing. And from going from a core injury to being able to do that, I think he had surgery on his groin, right? Snyder, was that? Did you?
Yeah,
say that?
Correct.
Yeah. Like so, he had surgery on his groin. He's already running routes. So I mean, that tells me he's progressing pretty well, and his ADP, like when he got hurt, it went from about like 112, 115 range down to about 150. So you can still get him like in that 150 range right now. And we still don't have a clear idea of when he's going to be back. But I think you're pretty safe drafting him in that 150 range for a guy that has upside that's probably 3 or 4 rounds higher than where he's going right now as a floor upside, like or as a floor, like as a upside, single digit rounds value for a guy that you're getting at an ADP of 150. So, depending on obviously Lamar Jackson and Bobby, I have the same concerns with you as being a passing weapon of Jackson. You just don't know, what to expect.
Yeah, I just don't. My thing is, and like MME especially, like week to week in NFL, like I feel like a lot of people, I don't know, like double stacking Lamar Jackson doesn't make sense to me. I kind of like the yards his yardage per game's like at 180, so your two guys really can't hit the bonus. It's only a single stack. Hopefully he makes the jump as a pass catcher because it's going to be tough for him to last in the league. As crazy as that sounds and the talent that he is, like eventually he's going to have to throw the ball and show some consistency throwing the football. CEH is up next. He had the high ankle sprain. Snyder, what are your thoughts on CEH? Jerick McKinnon, what are you kind of doing in this whole Chiefs backfield? They're obviously going to put up a lot of points, and this is pretty important position, right? Like this is the running back of the top team, of the team that we think is going to put up the most points in fantasy football or just points in general in the NFL. So we want to be right in this backfield. What are your thoughts on CEH?
Yeah, I was never really on him big coming into this year. I mean, I wasn't on him last year when he was going like mid first round. I thought that was just outrageous. But yeah, right here, I mean, he's got that injury already. Last season, he dealt with a hamstring, an ankle, a hip. It was like lower body. It was always something with him, it seemed last year. He's always getting nicked up. It's kind of a smaller back. So I definitely worry about him being injury prone here. And I'll definitely be steering clear of that whole backfield, I think they're going to be more pass centric. And I'll be looking to target like guys like Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, all those receivers there. I I think, yeah, I just don't want to. I don't trust any of these running backs, especially. We could see McKinnon in there. You could see a lot of guys that could mix in there. So I'll just be avoiding that for the most part. But I like the passing game for sure. I think they will put up a lot of points. Yeah.
I'm with you. I for one am worried about like the wear and tear on CEH. The O line has gotten better. You made some good points on like the injuries that he's had previously. And then you have Jerick McKinnon there in the backfield, and he's behind him. McKinnon can play. Simon, I'll let you talk a little bit about Jerick McKinnon and your thoughts on CEH.
Yeah, with CEH, kind of the same thought process that you guys had. I had him in my rankings, probably in like the third round. I'll take all those elite receivers over him, and now I bumped CEH down to the back end of the third round, like based on this news, just to make sure that anyone who's using him like doesn't draft him right now, because we don't know the severity of this injury. I think he avoided a high ankle sprain, but it's still an ankle sprain, and it's an opportunity for one of these backup running backs to make some significant inroads. I think McKinnon has always kind of had that stud potential. We saw him in Minnesota a few years back, where he had that semi-breakout season, and we were expecting big things. And then he got traded to San Francisco, and he got hurt, and he was out for like 2 years with injuries. So he's another injury-prone guy, which is concerning. But I think that O-line for Kansas City, like they just jacked that O-line up. Like they spent a ton of money on it on the offseason. They're just going to, like their
the
offense
opposite
is
of the
gonna
Bengals.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like they took care of their QB, and they're just going to shred everybody. Like Patrick Mahomes, you watched him the past couple years. It wasn't mind blowing like he was a few years ago, where he was scoring like 50 touchdowns or whatever. The past couple years, he was like a above average quarterback, but he wasn't like Patrick Mahomes. And you could tell in the Super Bowl when he was hurt. Like he got hurt first of all because he had weak protection, but he was playing the Super Bowl hurt, and then like the O-line just sucked. And now you're looking at a
revamped O-line.
Yeah, revamped. Probably like it's got to be a top 5 O-line. Like, but whatever, they spent a shitload of money on it, and I just think that every piece of that offense is something that you want a piece of. I just think whoever the running back is, I've been dipping in on Jerick McKinnon like this whole time, and I just believe in his upside, and getting him in the 18th, 17th, 18th round right now in Underdog is a great value. He's a great dart throw to take in those late rounds, and I think there's definitely a lot of upside there, especially in a situation like now. We're going to see how this plays out. Like, I don't think Darrell Williams, like I just refuse to believe that Darrell Williams will get the nod over Jerick McKinnon, but we don't know what the coach thinks of that situation. Darrell Williams seems like kind of a generic back, but we saw what the Chiefs were able to do with Damian Williams couple seasons ago, the real Super Bowl MVP, as Bobby and I like to refer to him as.
He definitely was the real Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah, but they gave it as a
they gave it to Mahomes.
Yeah, exactly. Just a symbolic MVP to Mahomes, but he did not win that MVP. That was Damian Williams for sure. But we saw what Damian Williams could do in that offense a couple years ago when their line was a little bit better, or not better than now, but like a little bit better than last year. But now it's like they have a spectacular offensive line. So we'll see what whoever the running back can do in it. But I'm hoping it's Jerick McKinnon gets a stab at it, and maybe CEH will miss the first couple weeks or few weeks. Who knows? Like, we're still waiting to see what the severity of this injury is.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think McKinnon could be, especially as a late round value, isn't the worst play. I also don't want to underestimate like how much of a weapon CEH could turn into, because I feel like he's coming in very undervalued for a guy that is the lead back in the best offense in football. I don't have a ton of CEH. I have a little, but I definitely have more McKinnon. It's just interesting to see how the whole industry is down on a guy that maybe at the end of the year we're going to be like, why are we so down on CEH? You know,
I think the way that you want to play CEH is like see where he settles with this injury news. I don't think that once that injury news, like once it comes out that he's going to play sooner than everybody thinks, I don't think that ADP is going to correct itself. I think it's going to stay low because people are looking for an excuse to be down on CEH. So that ADP drops and then it stays there even if the news comes out to be not as concerning. And then you start buying CEH, continue just buying him at the back end of that third round, and you're getting a steal on him at that point, and just keep loading up on him up until the season starts if you can.
Yeah, I think that makes a ton of sense. Week 2 Nuggets, Zach Wilson looking good, dude. Zach Wilson looks good. Am I the only one who thinks Zach Wilson looks good? Snyder, what are your thoughts on Zach Wilson?
Yeah, he had a really good connection with Corey Davis this week. They exploited that Packers second team defense very well. I mean, he went 9 for 11, 128 yards, and had 2 touchdowns. I mean, this is a great step forward for him, I think. He didn't even have all his receivers there, as Elijah Moore was missing, who is one of the top receivers that I'm high on for the Jets this year. Definitely think he looked good. He looked the part. I mean, looking to see what he does going forward, but I think he's definitely doing better than any of these Jets quarterbacks have in the past, and I hope he has a good year this year.
So he was getting killed early on in camp, and like outside of the game Fields has, I think he's been the most consistent out of these rookie QBs. Maybe I'm wrong in that sense, but just like the eye test, I've just caught a couple of his games. He looks good, and his decision-making is decisive. It's what you like to see. Simon, what are your thoughts on Zach Wilson?
Zach Wilson is the perfect value for anybody who is a contrarian in DFS or just best ball drafting, because Zach Wilson was getting killed by fantasy analysts. Like they were just ripping
absolutely destroyed. Why? I have no idea why.
It made no sense because they were all pissed that he went before Justin Fields. Like they all wanted Justin Fields to get drafted number 2, and because it was Zach Wilson, like they got all pissy about it and they ripped him apart. And so that's been the consensus thinking in the fantasy community is that, oh, Zach Wilson, like they don't get, it's like
he's good. I don't know how like the consensus. He's good. He looks good.
Yeah, like the narrative on him was so freaking bad, right? And then he comes out and he's playing like the best of the rookie batch right now. And I just bet on him for offensive rookie of the year. The odds on it are 1,000 to 1 on DraftKings Sportsbook, and I that's a no-brainer, because he looks better. Bet. Yeah, I mean, if Lawrence is his competition, like that offense looks like shit. Trey Lance, we don't know if he's going to even be starting till midway through the season. Justin Fields is in probably a bad coaching situation, but Zach Wilson, he's got the coaching, he's got the weapons, and he's got the support of the organization. So right now, Zach Wilson is looking like he's got the best shot of being the MVP. I mean, the rookie of the year, and he's in a situation too where, I think his odds 1,000 to 1. I think they were like they were worse than Lance. They were worse than Fields. I think they were worse than they're obviously Lawrence. And
he's in New York too, right?
Yeah. Yep.
If the light shine brightest in NYC, like he's gonna get the love if he plays well.
Yeah,
so I think that's a fantastic bet.
That's the perfect situation for us because we're looking for value for our second quarterback and building those cheap stacks like late in these drafts, and you can get all these Jets players for cheap. Like the one thing that I will say is they were hyping up, the New York media was hyping up Michael Carter a ton as well. And Carter, he's barely played in the preseason. He definitely hasn't played with the starters. It's been Ty Johnson, the guy that we were on in the beginning. Has
You were on that. Pat yourself on the back of that one.
Yeah, like Ty Johnson. I started to get a little nervous with all that news coming out about Michael Carter. I started drafting a little bit more Michael Carter, but like Ty Johnson, you can still get him in the 18th round, and that's going to be that's a good offense. That's a good looking offense, and like we were talking about, the coaching looks good, and they come from the Shanahan coaching tree, and we know how much Shanahan likes to run. So I think there's value to be found in that backfield, whether, like hopefully Michael Carter falls into the double-digit rounds at this point. I think the only place I would draft him right now, just because if he's going to be the starter eventually in the season, like it's probably going to be mid to late season before he gets that chance. He's not even running with the starters in these preseason games, so I'm not sure how it's going to play out with him. But Ty Johnson right now in the 18th round is looking like a steal, and so are the whole Jets in general. The whole Jets.
That's the issue, is I don't know how many Jets pass catchers I want, right? I understand the running game 100%.
Well,
that's
Corey
going back to Wilson, that would be the issue. Corey Davis would make a lot of sense.
Corey Davis looked awesome in that second game. Corey Davis was catching. Yeah, he was catching everything that came to him, and he looked like I want to say he looks explosive. Like if you watched him play in that game, and I wasn't sure what to expect with him. It seemed like kind of like a Diggs situation last year, where he's going to a new team. You don't know if he's going to mesh with the new quarterback. Obviously, Josh Allen had been playing for a couple years last season beforehand, but joining a new quarterback, we don't know how he's going to mesh with him and everything. But Corey Davis and Zach Wilson seem to have a good connection, and there's some other interesting receivers there too, like Denzel Mims. I was drafting a ton of him in the beginning.
I think he might get cut. They were talking about him getting cut. I think I saw recently. I could be wrong on that.
They were talking about him getting cut. It turns out that Denzel Mims had a bad case of food poisoning, and he lost like 20 pounds because he ate some like bad salmon or something like that. And none of the beat writers covered this, right? None of the beat writers were covering. They were just saying, "Oh, Denzel Mims, he looks like shit," and blah blah blah. Nobody bothered to find out, why does he look different and stuff like that. He lost 20 pounds because of bad food poisoning, right? So he's been recovering from that, and recently he's been playing really well in camp. And that first preseason game, he looked really good in that first preseason game. I don't think he played in the second one because he got hurt before it. But I don't know if Mims will get cut. I think if anything, like the coaching staff knows what he's been going through. So I don't think that they would cut him based on that. But like the guy has a lot of. He has a good attitude. Like if you watch some of his interviews, he's got a good attitude, and he's been playing hard recently, and I think he's pretty much recovered, obviously, from that food poisoning. But I think Mims will make the team and has a potential to have a decent role in that offense. I'm still not drafting him, but if he's the only guy left in the 18th round, he's might be worth taking a shot at.
Yeah, I think that's a good
Tyler
take.
Kroft too. Sorry.
Croft had I think Kroft almost caught one of the
two touchdowns. He caught both of Zach Wilson's touchdowns. Yeah.
Snyder, what are your thoughts on Wilson and Mims and the whole Jets offense in general?
Yeah, pretty much said that I liked Wilson how he lined up there, 9 for 11, 128 yards. Looked well. I mean, it's a great step forward for him. I definitely like Elijah Moore's still my favorite guy. I think he's got the most raw talent. I mean, he was a stud in college, and I think he brings the most upside to this roster. I definitely like Corey Davis, though. I mean, he's shown really good games and upside back in Tennessee at times. So I definitely like that. Yeah, the tight end you could go. Yeah, Croft's looking pretty good so far. Zach Wilson, yeah, I mean he did get shunned on a lot early, but I think he's going to prove some haters wrong here, and I like the upside with him going forward. I think he's going to do really well this year, as well as he can for the Jets, I guess.
Yeah, like all it takes. Obviously, it's tough to like with these Jets trying to weed through it because it's kind of tough to say who's the best play and do we want that many Jets is really the question. Juwan Johnson, Adam Trotman just went down. He's the backup for the Saints. Snyder, you want to kind of kick off your thoughts on Juwan Johnson?
Yeah, he's tight end. He was used more as a pass catcher in week 1 of the preseason. He ran a route on 21 of 25 routes in that first game. He's already caught 1 pass on 3 targets this game already as it's going on. That was in Jameis's first drive. There could be a trouble for Troutman got hurt, but before he got hurt, I thought this could have been trouble for him as well, as it could have been muddied up the waters for him, and he could have been more as the pass catcher like that Jared Cook role from last year. I definitely like him going forward. I think he's definitely going to rise. His ADP is definitely going to rise here. I definitely like him and a couple other guys that I wanted to hit on for these Saints that are looking really good so far this game. I mean, we got Callaway. He's had 5 targets, caught all 5 passes, over 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. He caught both of his touchdowns, and they were both contested catches. I mean, he looked really well on what he's done so far tonight. And little Jordan Humphrey, he's came out in the second half, and he's doing really well. He's got 4 catches for 74 yards, and he just caught a touchdown here on this last drive. So, I mean, both of these guys are looking really well for pass catchers for Jameis. I mean, Michael Thomas will be coming back later this year, but I think that's a really good upside for this Saints offense going forward. Oh, you're on mute.
Oh, you're on mute, Bob.
Oh, sorry. Sorry about that, guys. I love basically the Callaway call. And I think Juwan Johnson's ADP, like Snyder said, is going to skyrocket. Callaway just looks like a beast, man. He looks good. He caught that long bomb from Jameis. He's had a couple other catches. He's looks like a stud.
That was all in the first quarter too, and he sat when Jameis did after the first quarter.
Yeah, that's also interesting to note. So he's definitely the number one. That's pretty much locked in until Michael Thomas gets back. Simon, what are your thoughts on this whole situation? You were the one who kind of put this on the sheet prior to Adam Trotman going down. So you were ahead of the game here with this whole situation.
Yeah, I'd started reading recently because I was heavily invested in Troutman, and I started reading the last 2 weeks or so about how Juwan Johnson has been getting more of the Jared Cook role of the pass catching option, whereas Troutman has been more of a run blocker. So the theory was originally with Troutman is he had a really high Pro Football Focus score, PFF score with his run blocking, and I think it was like one of the highest in the league for tight ends, which was unfortunate for him from a fantasy perspective because they're going to want to use him more for blocking, and we don't want that with our tight ends. But the theory was that if he's good at run blocking, he's going to be playing more snaps, and with those more snaps, he'd be potentially running more routes or whatever. And it turns out that instead of using Troutman for routes, they were using 2 tight end sets, I guess, and they were using the other tight end to run the routes while Troutman was blocking. So Juwan Johnson is the one who was getting these valuable fantasy reps, and Troutman was just kind of being used as a blocker. So I was already starting to stopping drafting Troutman, running away from him. But yeah, Johnson looks like somebody who's going to be interesting, especially now if this injury to Troutman is severe, because Johnson's probably a guy that you can get in the 18th round or so. He's playing a pretty significant pass-catching role in the Saints offense with a lack of weapons that they have. Callaway is a guy that we were able to get in the 18th round. not too long ago when the hype started coming out after Michael Thomas hurt his foot. He was going more in the 120 range instead of the 18th round. So the value on Callaway's already been sucked out, but I think it's just going to continue he's going to go into the single digit rounds, I think, after tonight's performance. Unfortunately, I'd still been grabbing him in that 120 to 130 range, but now it's probably just going to be too expensive to continue drafting.
Trying to check how much Callaway I have right now. We're going to be getting in a draft in here in a little bit. Skinny Ben is the final pretty much talking point that we have. Ben looks like he's in shape. Love the calls, guys, on the Saints, by the way. Snyder, want to get into some Skinny Ben thoughts? Deontay Johnson, maybe Steelers pass catchers. What are your thoughts around Ben Roethlisberger and the new Ben Roethlisberger?
I thought he looked really well leading those 2 touchdown drives in that first quarter. He found that rookie tight end, Pat Freiermuth, on both of those touchdowns. One worry I still have with this Pittsburgh offense is that offensive line. It just still looks poor. I mean, they were getting pressure on him. They blew up a couple runs in the backfield. I mean, that's the big worry I have. I mean, Ben lost all that weight, I think, because he knows he's going to be running for his life this year. But I'm definitely thought he looked really well. I mean, I like Deontay Johnson going forward this year. He's probably my favorite receiver. I've got quite a bit of him in best ball when I've been able to get him in some select spots. I think that Pat Freiermuth, I think he sets up as like your typical prototypical Pittsburgh tight end. I think he's going to fit in really well with this team and everything. So I'm pretty high on them. I mean, I am a Ravens fan, so I have a little bit of bias against the Steelers, but I definitely thought Ben looked really well, and I like Deontay, and I like this Freiermuth. I like Najee Harris too. If that offensive line can get something going and get him some holes, I mean, he's got great upside, that speed and the elusiveness, and he's got the power to bust through the gaps and the holes and bust through some of these tackles, and definitely like his upside. I thought that was a really good pick for them. I thought that Pat Freiermuth at the time might have been like more of like a luxury pick, like they could have addressed some other spots, but I think that's going to end up working out really well for them.
Yeah, Freiermuth looks good. Deontay Johnson, I think it's still going to be the same like they did last year, like quick slants. And Simon, you hit on this, I think yesterday, whether it was Twitter or Discord, just running slants is pretty much going to be their running game because of how bad the offensive line is. For that reason, I'm kind of down on Najee Harris. I don't know. Like, he just hasn't – I've seen highlights, and maybe I'm just looking at highlights, but he hasn't really impressed me as much. Like, he's a bigger back, but the speed, I think, like he should have – there was a situation the other night where he should have ran away from a couple defenders, and he just didn't have that, like, extra year to get pretty much down the sideline. It was a little screen pass they dumped off to him. Simon, what's your thoughts on Pittsburgh as a whole and their offense?
So I think this is another narrative that we can exploit. This is another narrative where all the analysts were down on Pittsburgh, say, "Oh, they're an old offense. They don't, like they're not a modern offense," and blah blah blah. And like the owner of the Steelers is telling them to draft a running back because they need to get back to their running game and stuff like that. Well, their offensive line sucks, so they're not going to have a choice to go back to a running game. And I think what happened was in the offseason, they fired their offensive coordinator from last year, and I was reading
to fire the head coach, but
yeah, I was reading the Warren Sharp football preview, and early on in the offseason, when I started to hear all that rumbling of the Steelers, I thought the same thing. I thought they were going to suck this year. But then those pictures started coming out about Ben Roethlisberger, like dropping a ton of weight, right? And the reason why I thought that he was doing that, it's like Snyder said, is because he knows he's going to be doing a lot of scrambling because their O-line sucks. And then I started to dig a little bit into it, and you find out about the new offensive coordinator they brought in, And the new OC, Matt Canada, is the guy that specializes in, motions and read options and stuff like that, like those kind of modern plays. And last season, like the Pittsburgh offense was so predictable. Going back to that Warren Sharp book, he was talking about how they were running 64% of their plays had no pre-snap motion. So the opposing
Seahawks fell into that trap too.
Yeah. So the opposing defenses could tell, when they were going to run a run play and when they were going to run a pass play. They had no option. So this new OC that they brought in tells me that they are taking it serious, like with changing up their entire offense this season. And Ben losing all that weight is kind of telling me that he bought into it, right? He bought into this new offensive coordinator. And at first, you were reading all these stories about how, Ben plays the way that he plays. He's not going to change and all this shit, right? Well, now you're reading that Ben is going in early. He's reading the playbook. He's working, with his team members on running those new plays and everything like that. He's really making an effort to modernize his playing style. And for a guy that old to be doing this, and we know that they're going to be having to, make quick passes because like we're talking about, the O-line sucks. And we were joking about it a couple weeks ago when we were drafting about how he's going to be throwing all these slants to Deontay and Juju, but like that's a legit thing. Like he's gonna have to be doing all these slant passes and quick passes and stuff because they're not really going to have a choice. But the fact that he's bought in on this new offense and this modernized offense, and it seems like he's kind of realizing he's at the Drew Brees stage of his career where his arm strength just isn't going to be like there as much. So he changed his entire body type to kind of fit like with this new style of play. And now he's, you see it in action, like in this first appearance in the preseason game, the second game of the second preseason game, where you see it in action and you see the line not holding up, and Ben is scrambling left and right, but he's hitting these receivers on these slants, and they're like getting a lot of yards after the catch with it. And even the running back, like Najee Harris, he hit him on a slant, and Harris almost took it to the house. Like he got caught on the sideline, but like that looked like an explosive play. So I think that the Steelers are a little bit underrated right here. I think that you could get kind of a poor man's version of the Saints. They obviously don't have the protection of the quarterback, and they're not going to have, like the explosive running that the Saints had because the O-line just isn't there. But I think that the Steelers' pass catching weapons are definitely worth looking into. I don't know if I'd go so much Claypool. I think he's too expensive, but I think Juju is a deal right now. He's going in like the 9th round, like 8th, 9th round, and Deontay is going relatively. Yeah, he's a little bit expensive, but for the type of player that he is, and the amount of targets that he's going to get, like in this offense, I think the pass catching weapons are worth investing in. And like you guys were talking about with the rookie tight end, he was playing with the starters. I don't know if Ebron was hurt or not, but he looked good too. He was making contested catches in the end zone. He caught 2 contested touchdowns. And, for a rookie playing with Ben, he's got that Heath Miller body type. It's going to be interesting to see how he pans out. He could end up leading rookie tight ends in touchdowns. Like if he's getting a significant amount of playing time, and they can move that offense, he might. We'll have to see like how much playing time he gets, but if he gets a significant amount, like he could be in that picture.
I 100% kind of see where like their offense kind of trends that way to where they're running slants because the O-line just isn't there, and it'd make a ton of sense. Little Discord fire going on in our Tuesday night show, I see. Got me
Yeah.
a little distracted there. All right, guys, we're going to be hopping into a underdog draft. Promo code for underdog is RUNPURE. Get you $25 off your first cash deposit. And not 20, you get $25 back when you make your first deposit. Simon, so you want to start setting up that underdog draft?
Yeah, I got it. I got it set up. Do you guys want to just click enter on the count of 3?
I gotta get in there first. Hold on one sec.
Let me know when you guys are ready. Snyder, are you doing it on your computer again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
You guys ready?
Are you ready?
All right.
Go.
1, 2, 3, go.
4 more to start, 3 more to start. Are we in the right one?
Yep.
I got 3 more, yeah.
3 more, yeah. There you go. Boys, we're in it.
All right, guys.
Little underdog best ball draft for the next 40 minutes. Once again, promo code is RUNPURE on your first deposit. $25 back. Give us a like and subscribe, guys, to this video. We're up here late at night doing these best ball vids. Big T doesn't want to do best ball, and we're out here grinding the best ball streets. So throw us a like and a sub. Simon's a big sub guy, loves the subs, loves the likes, loves the YouTube engagement. So make sure you're hitting all the good stuff.
Love to see it.
What draft starts soon?
Oh, I got pick 1. I haven't had pick 1 in a while.
We're not in the same draft. Oh no.
Oh no.
Yeah, we are. I think.
Are you JPH24?
Oh,
That's who I see.
I'm pick 12.
You're pick 12. You're pick 12.
It flashed on me at pick 1 at first, and it just switched on me. That's weird.
Okay, I'm pick 8, and Bobby is pick 5. So
yeah, it literally had me at pick 1, and then I looked up again, and it put me on 12.
Oh, that's classic.
There's something shady going on there.
Yeah. Pick 8 is right where I like to be. I like to be in the middle of these drafts. I feel that way that value falls to you more, and you don't get. I think we're all spread out enough so that we don't have to really worry about sniping each other.
Yeah, I'm 5, right? Where are you?
I think the Saints just intercepted it. It was second goal. I was fading a Jacksonville touchdown. That's huge.
Would you win that? You get any big bucks?
Well, no, I'm sitting like 3rd in the big DraftKings deal, that 180 buy-in.
Did you have Callaway as your captain?
I didn't know. I had the Saints defense as my captain, but I played both quarterbacks. I played Hill and Winston and Humphrey and Callaway.
What are the points for the quarterbacks right now? I faded both of them.
I'm sitting in 5th right now.
5th.
Hill's got 9.5, and Jameis had 12.9.
Yeah, I'm dead in the water then.
I played Colin Johnson. He hasn't even seen the field. I don't know what's up with him.
Yeah, I played him too. I had him and the Saints running back as my captains, and then I had 2 teams with Callaway, and I should have started Callaway as my captain. I wasn't.
Yeah, if I would have put Lambeau in instead of him, I'd be in 2nd.
Yeah.
Oh well. I played 2 lineups. One of them I played Lambeau, and one of them I played Colin Johnson.
I'm on the clock. I just took Devontae Adams.
Ooh.
There you go.
Devontae Adams. All right, I'm coming up here at pick 8. I'm looking at Tyreek or Diggs. Let's see what this guy ahead of me takes. He's got 12 seconds. He might time out. Oh, no, there he goes. He took Tyreek. I would have preferred Tyreek, but I definitely don't mind Diggs. Oh, Title's in this one.
Oh, there he is.
Oh, he's in there. He's ready to get his ass whooped again.
Title, how did he make it in?
Title bucks.
Did you post in Discord that we were jumping
Yeah,
in?
I put it
No, I
in the
didn't
chat.
post.
Yeah,
Okay, I got you.
I said there was like 4 spots left when we first jumped in.
Yeah. All right. So this will make it a little bit entertaining. I'm gonna send Title a link right now.
Send him a link. Yeah, get him in
Get him
here.
to jump
I'm gonna
on.
get Title in this. Where is Title? All right, here we go.
Snyder, you're picking, bud.
Yeah, I got 2 guys check mark, or one of them got taken there. I'm definitely going Hopkins, and then I'm looking at another one. I wanted Ridley and Hopkins there, but Ridley got taken. I'm going to go Eckler, too. I like Eckler.
I love Eckler.
I like Eckler as well.
Yeah, I like the value on him right there.
Yeah, we are all big Eckler fans in this room.
Yeah, I have a lot of Eckler thanks to Simon.
I've been taking him, like, if I'm late in the rounds like this. He's actually been dropping kind of to the end of the point right here.
Someone just got a steal on Aaron Jones.
Yeah, I thought about taking him, but I'm more high on A.J. Dillon this year for the other reasons.
I'm not a big Aaron Jones guy.
No,
My buddy and me had like a little back and forth today because he likes Aaron Jones. I just don't get him right. I feel like he's like the one that I want to fade.
Yeah, and I always worry about him in the red zone because Devontae Adams is such a red zone big target, and they might be first and goal at the 2 or 3, and they're going to throw it a lot more times than they will run it, I think.
And then you have to worry about A.J. Dillon at the goal line too, with him being the power back that he projects to be.
This is brutal. Like the timer ran out on this guy, and I can't see what he picked.
Najee Harris.
Oh, he went Najee Harris? Okay,
was the last pick, yeah.
My thing must have froze on me because I still see nothing. But I'm going with Gibson. I got Gibson as my.
I'm totally frozen. Fuck.
Okay, finally it went. Who'd I end up with? I ended up with Gibson. Good. Gibson is the guy that I'm drafting significantly. He's another one of those running backs that I think has the potential to be a top 5 guy this season. Oh, here comes Title. Let's let Title in the thing here. All right.
Title Bucks, what's going on?
There we go. What's going on?
What's up, Title?
You guys jumping in this thing without Simon didn't send me a link. That's hurtful.
What's going on, Title buddy?
How's it going, guys?
Pretty good, man.
Pretty good.
We're just recording our show. We saw that you were in the draft with us, and we had to send you a link.
Who'd you guys get first overall? Right when you sent me the link, I haven't been able to keep up. I got my first 2 in, but haven't tracked it at all. Who do you guys got?
I took Eckler and Hopkins. I was at the 12-13.
12. Yeah.
I have Adams and Lamb. I was hoping Chubb would fall to me, but he didn't fall.
No Kelsey Kittle. No Kelsey Kittle for you.
No Kelsey Kittle. No.
Diggs Gibson for me.
Diggs Gibson. I got a lot of Diggs. I like Diggs.
Yeah. Diggs is in that. I'd put him probably my wide receiver 3 this year. I think. Like I'm kind of torn on Adams.
Through him though.
Yeah.
Adams. It's hard. Oh, I mean, not even Packers bias aside. I mean, I just think him and Rodgers last year. I mean, most likely. It's hard. I like him at 5, him or Kelsey, but I got him a little ahead.
It's good to see you like my pick, Title.
Yeah,
Adams at 5.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing.
I've got Adams like ranked even 4th. I think, he's great. I think.
I take Adams
fading Henry.
Yeah, I'm kind of fading Henry.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm approaching at least the top 5, or not getting any Zeke really. Outside of that, though, like because I'm 150 in this, like I'm taking C-Mac every time I get 1, Dalvin every time 2. I'm not making any hard stand, which I don't know. This is my first year really diving into best ball, like hardcore 150. So I don't know if that's the optimal strategy or not. Like, is it better if you'd faded Dalvin automatically at 2 every time, or Kamara at 3, or I don't know. I don't know the right.
Yeah, I think like the best way to do it, I think, is if there's a consensus number 1 pick and you fade that number 1 pick and go with the number 2 pick. So that way you're able to increase your exposure on that player that you're picking the most, and you're just hoping that the number 2 outperforms the number 1.
Yeah, it's just that way. That is so hard to fade. I know what you're saying for sure.
Totally. Like, I think this isn't like necessarily like the year to do it, but I think like last year or 2 years ago when it was Barkley was the consensus number 1. I think it was Barkley. I was drafting McCaffrey, like as my number 1, and I was drafting McCaffrey. I was able to get McCaffrey as my number 1, my number 2, and my number 3. Wow. And I had and so I just had like a huge amount of exposure to him, and it ended up paying off because he ended up being such a stud that year.
Yeah, that makes so. I guess like how much variance I guess you want to take onto it too. If you want to ship the mill and get 40, some of my exposures like Daniel Jones and Evan Ingram, I got north of 40%, which like because of the rounds I don't really care. But I mean, that's more than I want in an MME typically, especially with those two. So I don't know. I'm still learning. I mean, this is like I said, my first year really doing it. So we'll see what works and what doesn't. And that's how I'm approaching. I know you guys have been doing this a lot longer than I have.
I think so. I think Bobby, but I was going to say, I think the value that you're getting on Ingram, like as late as he's going, like is
150 is just ridiculous.
Yeah,
compared to who's down there.
Yeah. Sorry, Bobby, didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah, so like the sample size for best ball isn't big. So like if you feel like if that's how you want to approach it, like there's no right or wrong way to kind of do this. I think that's what's also interesting about this, and kind of the edge is that there aren't really projections to where you can say, or like just like schematically, like this is how construction has to be.
Yeah.
Get the guys you want. If you want to take an approach to game theory that you think is going to work or might work, like just do it, because there's not really much to say of what's right and what's wrong, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, because especially like with the injuries, like Dak going down and certain things last year, like even the optimal, like what is it, 2-4, 10-2 is what people are kind of thinking, but that could be so skewed. Like I've done some 3 quarterbacks depending where I've got, and then usually I'm sitting around 4 running backs, but sometimes the 9 receivers, depending on how early. You really never, I guess we really don't know, but I think it's somewhere around there for the optimal construction. Do you guys agree with that part?
I agree with that. That's like, I get that, but then I also think like you definitely can take 3 quarterbacks. Like, I know, you know what I mean? Like,
or tight ends if you're going later, not taking one of the top. I've been kind of doing that too, but it's interesting to see some people are hard 2-4. 10-2, and then some are more lenient. Simon, how are you? You're probably more lenient, aren't you?
As far
Simon's pretty tight. I feel like Simon stays like to the 2-4, 10-2. Right? Am I right, Simon, in saying that?
Yeah, I do that, or I'll do. I try to draft. Well, I haven't recently, but like I used to try to draft 3 tight ends, because tight ends is such a delicate position, and I went through an experience last year where my tight ends got decimated. So if I had only 2 tight ends on a team, then like some of those teams, I lost both my tight ends. They just got killed last year. And
so are your thoughts like, so like you're playing you're playing to get to the millie, you're pretty much first. So are you just like, because how I'm approaching is, there's been some drafts where I've walked away with just Kelsey or just Kittle, and that's because like it was either I was going to pick some bum that's hardly going to play in the last round. But like if I'm thinking about it, the bye week you'll get 0. But other than that, like if you're picking Kelsey or Kittle or Waller or something, like you're expecting to use them every week. So like are you just so does this depend if you go tight end early or if you just go tight end late, then you go 3?
Yeah, no, if you get a tight end early, you definitely want to get at least like one other tight end, obviously, because you don't want to put up a goose egg on your bye week.
Yeah,
You know?
I only did that once or twice because I was probably going to get a 0 anyway.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
you wouldn't go 3 tight ends with that, would you?
No, not if you had one of those guys. But if you picked up your first tight end after like the 10th round,
then you go
let's
3
say like
usually.
after you get like past like Tanyan and Goddard, those types of guys, like then I would be considering a 3 tight end build.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And just make sure that they all have different bye weeks, because with tight ends, it's like
tight ends and quarterbacks, I make sure I don't draft 2 of the same unless I know I'm going 3 quarterbacks.
All right, so it's coming up on me. I've got Gibson, Diggs, Lockett, and Higgins so far.
Yeah, your receivers are strong. I love Gibson too. I think Gibson's a really good play.
Yeah, I think he's like, oh, you took Murray, didn't you? Gibson is like one of those perfect guys for like the hero RB build because I mean you can get a first round stud and then you can draft Gibson in that second round. He's got that top 5 upside that we like, and then you just hammer wide receivers and other positions for the next 6 or 7 rounds, and you don't have to worry about running back for a while, just because the second running back that you choose, like RB2s don't score nearly as much as RB1s, obviously. So if you're going to pick an RB2 in like the 6th round versus like something like the 10th or 11th round, there's not a huge discrepancy in the amount of points that you're going to score between RBs in those between those 2 rounds. You know what I mean? So it's not a necessity to draft that second RB right away unless you're going for that more robust RB build where you want to take 3 or 4 RBs in your first 4 rounds or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think the structures around like the hero RB, zero RB, and like anti-fragile, I think those are pretty much set in stone. And I think like building your construction is, I guess that's like, but to say which one is better, like it's kind of dependent on like situation, and everything's kind of ever changing on this. I think if you take a macro perspective of this just being a large 150 slate, like I don't really think any way you do it is the wrong way. Title just took Odell. Title, you said the 3 QBs. Like 3 quarterbacks is I think my best team last year had 3 QBs just because it offers you that high floor. Yeah. And a lot of these tournaments, like we're playing, especially like when you're trying to get out of the first round of this, it's a 12-man. Like you're playing high floor plays, and you're pretty much you want the floor from your QB. So I don't like hate the idea of kind of building in that route, or like the 3 tight ends. If like Simon said, they get decimated. Snyder, any kind of thoughts around all this?
Yeah, I had a question for you guys. I just thought about this the other day. I was kind of wondering, have you tinkered or anything about like just drafting like 3 running backs with 3 different bye weeks? Have you ever thought about that? And it's like loading up on like receivers and trying to just hit like the optimal receiver every week and hoping 2 of those 3 backs can give you like 12 to 15 points.
Yeah,
I've done a couple this year. I did but that's only when if I go Saquon, Jonathan Taylor, and then get like a Kareem Hunt, or something like that, and they all have 3 different bye weeks. Because otherwise, you're taking last round anyway, and you get a guy like Gainwell or someone that like it's like, do I really see him ever?
Because you're gonna play 2 of those 3 every week, and if you can get like 12 to 15 out of those guys, I think that's a good like a medium projection you can hope for.
Yeah, I've tried it. Simon, you said you have too.
I mean, I've tried to take a spreadsheet and map out the best receiver matchups throughout the season, or not maybe necessarily matchups, but the games where I would project receivers to get a lot of action, like throughout the season. But it was just tough to kind of map out like which receivers you would want, like to make sure that you had the whole season covered. But I think that's something that if you had like the time to dig into and just kind of create a spreadsheet for, like where you can figure out, okay, these receivers are going to have the best matchups on a given week, or the best, like not necessarily like cornerback matchups, but the matchups where, like the offense is going to need to throw a lot. And then just try to map it out that way and draft your receivers based on that. I think that would be an approach that everybody else would be too lazy to do. You know what I mean? Like it would definitely give you an edge if you can figure it out.
Doing the extra work like that, especially like not only in that situation, but like just later in rounds and making sure like you're attentive and focused into making the right decision. Obviously going in depth like that is going to give you an edge, but just like if you're not going that in depth, just paying attention later on in rounds as to who you're taking, because most people are auto drafting at that point and they're just dead money. That's kind of where this is won. Snyder, you said the 3 RBs. Like I really like the idea. I've done it a couple times, right? Just taken 3 guys at separate bye weeks and got the extra equity at like wide out or whatever. I think that's a good call as well.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. I think for like a big structure like this, for this like million maker where you're looking to get your pop in that one position, if you can just own receiver and have like a spike week every week, I mean, and you get your like 15-point median projection from your 2 running backs, 2 of the 3, I think that's good upside for you in this type of tournament.
Yeah, I definitely. I mean, it's interesting. I like mixing with I'm always 9 or 10 receivers.
Yeah,
always 2 and 2, or if I can be the 2 and 2. But then it depends. I mean, so what have you guys done with? Actually, I'm on the clock right now. I'm gonna take Dak, even though his throwing motion is worrying me a little. But yeah, 82.
Yeah,
I can't.
That's a steal. I wouldn't worry about that too much.
I got some. I think
Snyder would have taken him if you passed him up.
I like going quarterback early with I've been living a lot of my drafts, the Josh Allen's, Kyler Murray's, Lamar's, and then even Dak and Russell Wilson. But I feel because then I'm almost always the 2 quarterbacks. I don't have to worry about going like if I get Sam Darnold, Daniel Jones, and Joe Burrow, like I just feel better with the Kyler and Josh Allen's and the rushing upside this year. So that's where I've been living a lot. And then drafting a ton of receivers late. Have you guys been on a certain construction for majority of drafts and like force yourself to switch it up once in a while? Because I do that. I mean, you have to if you're 150, but you have a main route this year that you guys are going quarterback, tight end, anything.
I've been doing this. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, you go, Simon.
I was going to say I've been doing the same thing, just taking my quarterback in like that 5th round.
Yeah,
my first one.
There's like this industry narrative not to take the QB early, and I think that's wrong. Just for like playing small field GBPs and DFS, like you see it all the time. Like kind of hit on earlier, you want that floor. So I expect like title that's kind of like how you would build it because you're playing a lot of those kind of tournaments and you understand how important that floor actually is. The narrative in this is that like we're supposed to wait on QBs. I don't think that's correct. I think my first 75 teams, I was taking QBs earlier than most, I would say. I think I did wait a little on QBs recently, but the majority of my teams I've tried to get with like 2 stud quarterbacks or quarterbacks that I feel comfortable with. So
yeah, I don't even know if I have any Mahomes. Like he just goes too early in every single draft. But after that, like I don't see too much of a fallout to the Josh Allen's, Kyler's, Lamar's of the world. And so I've just been pretty much, Mahomes fade, and then I fade a lot of the guys in the mid round. Like I have some Trey Lance and don't really have any Fields and stuff like that, but like bunch in that mid range, and then Daniel Jones. I think he's going way too late, and I think this Giants stack's so cheap on best ball. I have way too much Giants, that's for sure. And Cincy's the other team. I keep getting Jamar Chase, keep getting Tyler Boyd. Those are my 2 stacks, I would say.
I'm the same with Cincy. I got a ton of Cincy exposure. I've been fading the Giants completely, except for Ingram occasionally, just because the Giants' offense is such a dumpster fire, and fucking Jason Garrett's such a moron. I don't have any belief
Saquon. You got Saquon at all, or that's a full fade
Saquon
too?
a little bit. I don't mind Saquon, just because you can get him in that mid-second round, and I think he's a value there. But I still don't trust that he's going to be used properly this year. I just think that Jason Garrett is a dumpster fire, and he just is such an idiot. He's such a clown, and I just don't have any real hope for the Giants offense this year.
Well, one of us are going to win the money.
Yeah.
So
Colin Johnson just got a catch.
He did just catch a TD. I saw that come across.
Oh, Colin Johnson?
That was I mean, it hurt my defense, which is my captain, but it definitely helped me. It jumped me up to third place in that event now.
How many yards was it?
24-yard touchdown.
Okay.
9.4 points.
I haven't even checked my.
I actually really like the Daniel Jones call, Snyder, just because of the rushing equity that he kind of has. It's pretty.
Yeah.
That's why I'm taking him. I mean, I like these Russian quarterbacks, and he's sneaky.
Yeah, definitely. People were on him pretty big last year, I think, and he really busted. So he's going at such a value this year.
But what's changed that he's gonna because last year they weren't even using him as a rusher. Like
he moves, though. He does move, and if you're playing these 12-mans, like you want that floor, like week to week. It's the rushing equity is like super important in this.
But that's what I'm saying.
They also got. I mean, they also got Galladay
equity anymore.
I think he does. They also got Galladay. I think their offense can be better than it was. Healthy
Saquon. If Galladay
can
stay healthy, yeah.
I mean, there's more. I don't know. But also that's why my drafts are like this. So I mean,
I get your side of the argument though, Simon. Like Garrett is just an absolute dumpster fire. He's horrendous, and it's just like, can you count on them?
I also like the division they play in. Not Washington, but the other two defenses. Getting them twice a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then in a dome for Dallas, you get that. I don't know. Well, I mean, it's also mainly where his ADP is.
The East is playing they're playing another division too, where they're going to be in a lot of not shootouts, but they're going to be playing from way behind. What is it? Is it the AFC West? I want to say they're playing another division where it's going to be really good for those offenses.
Simon on the clock.
I'm up here in
Simon, me, Snyder.
My last really two close. Picks were Mecole Hardman and Waddle. I like the upside of both those guys. I think they both have home run capabilities.
Waddle's good. It's just does Tua have home run capability?
I think Tua is actually going to be a little better than people think this year.
I agree. I'm still. I think he's fully healthy. I think he'll use his legs more. And he has the weapons. I mean, Parker, Waddle, Fuller, they have the weapons. I wish they didn't do that to Gaskins, but I know Simon.
Where are you on that? Are you like Gaskins' title?
I'm not like you. Yeah, I'm not like you. I'm actually getting him more now than I was before because his ADP is falling.
There you go.
So, I mean, he's just in the range. Like, I think Kareem Hunt and I mean, I have a lot of Darrell Henderson. That's earlier now, but Kareem Hunt and Mike Davis, I like in that range, which is a little before Gaskin. So that's mainly where I've been falling. But yeah, I don't know. The news has to scare you, Snyder. I mean, but now you buying the dip. Like I know I've listened to you guys talk about it. Now buying the dip, I think the price is I dropped a little too low. But in some drafts when he falls,
we were talking about it earlier, Snyder. How we think that. At least Snyder and I think that week one was more of a showcase of Malcolm Brown being new to the team, and needing to get those reps in. But week two, like you saw Gaskin getting a lot more run, and I think they made it a point almost to give Gaskin like the type of opportunities that he had in week two because everybody was questioning his status. It's almost like they were making a statement with it, and he scored at least one touchdown in that game, maybe two.
And last year, when he seen 10 or more carries, he averaged like 18.1 points per game, I think. But that was like he was kind of nicked up last year, but like I think 7 out of the 10 games he played, he received 10 or more carries. and saw like at least 4 or 5 receptions out of the backfield and averaged 18.1 points. I think he's got that good upside. And I did like how he saw all the snaps inside the 10-yard line. So that's promising for him going forward too in that last game.
He ran bad in the red zone too. I mean, I remember when he was chalk some weeks, and gosh, I mean, he got 3 straight carries, couldn't get in. I mean, so yeah, he definitely ran bad there. I mean, another running back in that range that's a big news, Etienne. I know you were on him, Bobby, but he had his ankle injury today, and he was just picked in the 52nd. I think it was 52nd in our draft. He's been falling in some other drafts that's recognized, but he was limping on the sideline today, so that's definitely a concern.
Yeah, that's not good. So I had Etienne, and I was going between Etienne and this clock's gonna run out on me. Where's Callaway? Dang, just got him. Etienne and James Robinson. Like I had a ton of James Robinson, and then I was like, oh, I need to get Etienne too. But now I'm just like, I feel like I wasted like a lot trying to jam in some Etienne in terms of my exposure.
Yeah, I don't know. That ankle definitely didn't look great.
Oh, yeah. I just took Tyler Higbee at tight end. I've kind of been getting more higher on him at the last couple of weeks. I've heard some good things out of camp, and I think him being the only tight end in town is going to boost his upside this year. I was between him and Big Bob Tonyan, but I've got quite a bit of Tonyan already, so I've been kind of shifting over to Higbee in that situation.
I actually went with Tonyan there.
I got a decent amount of Higbee. I like Higbee a lot this year too. Fance is another one right in that range. And then,
I like Fance. He was good last year in some spots. I played him in DFS.
I mean, I think he's just a really good player. And I mean, Sutton, Judy, they're gonna have more weapons. So
and you got, I think it looks like Bridgewater might even start, and Bridgewater likes those shorter 8-out routes and stuff. He'll target.
You think Bridgewater's gonna win? I think
Locke's winning that.
I mean, he's looking at the DraftKings Sportsbook odds. I mean, they're shifting in Bridgewater's way a lot this last 3-4 days.
Wow.
That's the only reason I'm thinking that could be Bridgewater, just looking off the odds.
No, that's a good point. Like if they have it a certain way, like there's something they must see. But dude, Locke looks kind of good. Like I don't know.
Yeah, I thought Locke looked great. Like in at least that first preseason game. I didn't watch that second one.
Yeah, Drew Locke's kind of like the Keegan Bradley of golfers. I mean, he's so boom or bust.
Yeah, I don't think Locke's very good. I mean, he did look good for sure. I think the hype's a little too much. I think people overreact way too much in these preseason games.
I think you're 100% right about that.
But he did enough, I think, to start again. I mean, he played enough last year. I think I don't know. We'll see. But the preseason, the hype is just – it's something I fade a little bit now. But I think I only have 15 drafts left or something. So probably won't get
You lapped me. I have 30 left.
I started a week ago.
Holy shit.
I do 3 at a time. Yeah, I do 3 at a time, and I've been absolutely grinding.
Did you do on the computer too, Title?
All right,
say that again.
You do it on the computer?
Yeah, on my Mac.
I don't mind it on the computer. Yeah.
Normally, I don't take my second. Well, I was hoping Hertz would just fall to me. So never mind on that. Let's see. Let's see here. You know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna go with Fields. I got Mooney earlier. And I don't want to lose him.
Fields.
Yeah, I try normally not to draft a second quarterback that early, but occasionally if I'm set up for a stack, like I have Darnell Mooney already, and I can get Fields to pair with him, especially when I got Jackson, and I'm not really in love with any of Jackson's stacking options. It's more I drafted Jackson because I wanted that QB1 upside.
I think I might go back-to-back quarterbacks here.
Yeah.
I can get 2 stacks here. If I take Ryan, I mean, I don't have any Tua yet. I mean, Tua could just shit. I mean, he could. I don't know. I'm going to take both of them.
What's Tua do I have? 6%.
Yeah, I like double tapping.
This will be my first first Tua exposure for me. But I got the stack with Jalen Waddle then. And then I stacked Matt Ryan with Kyle Pitts.
Kyle Pitts, I can't wait to watch him.
Yeah, I think he's going to be a freak out there.
Yeah.
I like
such a mismatch.
Double tapping on QBs when I'm on one of the ends. Like if I am taking them late like that too.
I like doing that in the 3-mans too. Like I'll wait quite a while to take a quarterback in those 3-mans, and I'll just take like 2 or 3 right away or right at the end, back to back to back.
I don't know. I don't like the spot I'm in, to be honest, but.
What do we have for what round are we in?
We are in round 12.
12.
And I am one pick away. I'm going to go with Rashod Bateman. I know we're talking about him.
Keep it on brand with the show.
Yeah, Rashod Bateman, another one of the nuggets we were talking about earlier. Like we were saying, he's been running routes even though he's got he just had the core surgery. But I think my wide receivers at this point, I've got enough wide receivers on my roster so that I can go for a little upside with Rashod Bateman and take the risk of his injury recovery. Just because also I wanted to get someone to stack with Lamar, and I was taking Bateman at ADP, so I really didn't want to push it to see if he came back to me on the next round.
Just drafted Madison, keep my exposure up. That was my fade in Dalvin. I don't know. If it works, it works. Who knows?
What's your exposure on Madison right now, Bob?
I have like 70% Madison.
Oh, that's it? I thought you'd be like right around 90% or something.
I was up there for a long time. 72% Madison, 73% Byron Pringle.
How many lineups is that?
It's like 120. Yeah, I have like 35 left. Yeah.
I'm definitely, my highest owned player is 49%, about 50%. I have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 at 40% or higher. Then it drops to 30%. I'm more taking it as how I won 50 in MMA or something like that. I mean, occasionally I hit a lock, but MMA is a little different. But I'm kind of keeping it. I don't know. I don't know. I guess
like real right or wrong way, right? Like we don't. It's all hypothetical.
You only need the one. Yeah, you only need the one. I mean, you hope that. You hope that you get one. I mean, with different exposures, you get the right combination, but you're also spreading yourself more thin. I mean, if Madison's a top 6 back this year, your odds to ship definitely are pretty good.
That's kind of the hope, right? Like that was him, and so there were two. Not me. Like I'm usually looking to fade 2 pieces of chalk, and I think it was Akers that was one of them that stood out. And just Akers was a phenomenal play. Like if he plays, but like this is a long season, and everyone was super bullish. Between Akers and Dalvin, they were like the 2 most like concrete plays outside of McCaffrey, and like no one's fading McCaffrey if you get one, so it just made sense to kind of go in that direction, I guess, because if it's not like DFS, like if Dalvin goes down, then you can't pick up Madison next week, right? Like it's obviously a big gamble, but I've been playing that 3 running back kind of build where setting them up so they don't hit each other's bye weeks, and then drafted Madison as my 4th RB. I'm trying to do it that way.
I mean, definitely him, Chuba, Evans. There's a certain handcuffs or late guys that if some big guy goes down, it's gonna.
He looks good.
All those guys. I mean, if one of those guys go down, the whole underdog. It's all flipped upside down. And I mean, I got lucky. I guess I didn't draft before Cam Akers news. I had no drafts. I just started hammering him late. So if you said he was chalky, that means I probably would have had some.
I feel like, Akers was like the industry darling, and then like everyone switched to Aaron Jones. And then there was this like kind of swap between Aaron Jones where people like, maybe you have to fade Aaron Jones because A.J. Dillon's actually viable. So now it seems like Aaron Jones is kind of falling a little bit. I like it. The analysis you gave on, was it you, Snyder? Like Devontae Adams at the goal line, and then A.J. Dillon. Like Aaron Jones's goal line equity like isn't fantastic. like as we've seen previously.
It's definitely lower than a lot of the guys in his range, I think.
I like Dylan more than Aaron Jones for his 80. I'm really high on Dylan this year.
I like Dylan too.
I think he's going to be a beast.
I don't have it.
He doesn't. I mean, he never has been a guy to just RB1 run a guy into the ground. Aaron Jones isn't that kind of back either. So I'm trying. Like I took Dylan in our draft. I took him. What did I get him? I took him at 87. His ADP was 94. My third running back was Saquon and JT.
I've been taking a lot of Philip Lindsay lately too. I just took him again right here in the end of the 13th round. I think he's got good upside. Even see I think he could see 65% of the work here. And he's got good passing skills. He did really good in Denver on a shit team, and I think this Houston team's going to be pretty shitty.
I've been taking a lot of Lindsey too. I'm in that same situation, Snyder. Lindsey and Ty Johnson are kind of the guys that I've been getting a lot of exposure to. Overlooked.
I just got auto picks for Jonnu Smith. I didn't know.
Jonnu Smith is actually
he's not a bad pick.
I've been taking a ton of Jonnu recently. I've been getting him in almost every draft.
Has he looked good in preseason?
It's more like going back to that Warren Sharp book. I was reading that again, and you just gotta read the sales job that he does on Bill Belichick with the double tight ends, like kind of going back to those Hernandez and Gronkowski days. He tells a really good story about it, and it's worth the read for sure. Got me on
Gio here.
Got me on Jonnu for sure, and Hunter Henry. If I don't get one, I get the other.
I worry about Henry's durability if you're talking about tight ends that are getting decimated. Like I had a lot of Henry early, and then I'm like, if I take Henry, I feel like I have to take another tight end, like on top of the two that I'm taking, because he already got injured in preseason. It's just like, I like Henry a ton. I think he'll do well in that offense. It's just is he gonna hold up?
Yeah, and that's another reason why I'm leaning more Jonnu. I think Jonnu has a little bit of durability concern too, but I think it's probably a little less than Henry.
Yeah.
Because it seems like Henry misses 5-6 games every year,
Isn't Jonnu's ADP like 147 or something?
Yeah.
Because Henry's is 175. That's why I've been getting more. I hardly have any Jonnu, but I think it's also. I like him as a player. I worry about that offense a little bit, but I also don't think too many people I think if you can get overweight on him pretty easily for like majority of your builds. He's not one of the more popular tight ends that people are going out and getting very heavy to. So being different in this is definitely, I know JSU always talks about it. He always has one of the lowest projection teams every single draft, but he says it's always good to be different on a different path than others.
I think if you're getting a low projection on underdog, you're winning. I think.
The projections are awful, but
what was the one that we saw? Dust. We did a draft a couple weeks ago where some dude drafted like 5 quarterbacks, and he had like a 3,500 projection. It was like the most
Those
I've
are
ever
just
seen.
Outliers.
I was trying to figure like what his thought process was, because
he was sniping all my quarterbacks.
No, I get it. I'm just saying, this hasn't been fully mapped out, so maybe there is something to it, right?
No, not 5. One guy drafted 9 with me.
Well, I think
he was just being a troll.
Yeah.
Who drafted 9?
I don't know who, but one of the guys in my drafts. I was so mad I had to take some bum quarterbacks because I just kept waiting. I think I have Darnold and Wentz or something. Like, it's just gross.
Bobby, I noticed you took Xavier Jones there.
I was thinking I should have took. Why is that bad? I was thinking I should have took Xavier instead of Gio.
Yeah.
And then I
think Xavier Jones has huge upside here, especially if that thumb's bad for Henderson. He left with that thumb injury today. I mean, who knows
They said week 1. Spring.
Week 1.
Yeah.
I don't think Xavier Jones is going to be an every down back though. That's the thing. Like I could see them picking up a back within these next 2 weeks if they're that worried about Henderson. Because Xavier Jones is like 208 pounds. So.
And McVay didn't seem like too too worried about it. He said that he was still confident with the guys they had, and even if Henderson was going to miss. But yeah, I didn't see that title scene that week 1, so that's good for him.
It was
Title, have you
NFL
heard any?
best ball.
Have you heard any updates on Troutman?
No, I haven't. But another thing that didn't look very good, getting carted off. I mean, like, not the actual injury itself, but I mean, I didn't see it at all, and then getting carted off. And he didn't even get the start.
I think they would cart off anybody in the preseason. You know, like they don't want to aggravate anything. You know.
Yeah, I saw Etienne. I guess it might depend on the team. There was another cornerback that got hurt that was just trying to jog it off. Yeah, maybe I'm reading too much into that.
Gotcha.
Did you?
Well, no,
you have some exposure?
Yeah, it's definitely not a good sign. Like I'd seen a couple guys get carted off with, you know, like when the injury didn't look that serious, but like, so I was thinking it might be a preseason thing, but like I'm just guessing there. I'm not saying it's a legit thing or not.
I didn't see the injury at all, so I don't. All I saw was that part, and then Etienne limping, which who knows? I'm interested to see what that is, because that's another big. James Robinson. What's his ADP right now, Bobby?
He's like 94.
Yeah, that thing flies up if it's anything.
I don't understand why he's at the value he's at. Like, he should be going. It's just people are just so bullish. I have more Etienne. I have more Robinson than I have Etienne. Thank God.
I just pulled a trick out of JSU's bag there and drafting the double running backs.
You have to explain that to me, because I don't understand.
I just took Chris Carson and Rashod Penny, and my thought process with that is if one of those goes down, I think the other one sees a huge boost.
That is a good point.
I've done that too. So
I'm taking
Snyder.
Donovan People-Jones. He's one of my favorite guys to draft late. He's going to have a big part of this offense.
What the fuck?
I think
when I took Xavier Jones, I missed on Pringle. So that'll be one line of no Pringle.
Yeah, as far as the two running back, the only time I think it makes sense, it doesn't make sense if you're drafting a handcuff. It makes sense when you're drafting a committee that runs a shitload. Like if you're taking, like two Jets, right? Let's say you're taking Ty Johnson and Michael Carter. If you're taking two San Francisco guys like Sermon and Mostert, guys like in the ambiguous backfields that both like can hit their ceiling in the same game are guys that are worth double tapping on in the same backfield. And those it's not worth drafting Dalvin Cook with Madison, guys like that, right? We're only talking later round running backs where you can get two guys in an ambiguous backfield that can both hit their ceiling in the same game.
I disagree a little bit, Simon. If you want to hear my argument,
let's hear it, Title.
Well, no, I think the situation and like the Penny Carson, I've done some because if Penny falls, that. Like I'm not gonna if like he's dropping, just because I don't think Carson's gonna be a 3-down workhorse the whole year. Like there might be some games Penny gets a touchdown or two that if you're only drafting, you're drafting him in third round or something, so you need a floor kind of, which the double running back does at that spot. But then also like the Madison Cook, I kind of understand because Madison goes a lot sooner than you want to take someone's second pick and then a round like that. But like if you're going Hubbard in the last round or Evans in the last round and you have C-Mac or Derrick Henry, like you're kind of, hedging yourself out from a freak injury where you're not going to avoid a C-Mac at 1. But Hubbard also will step in and he could be a top 15 back if he does go down. That's kind of how I see it. I could be totally wrong. This is why best ball is a thing and everyone gets on different teams. People have different strategies.
See, I just don't like doing it because I want my roster spots to, like if I'm doing like a handcuff with a running back, because the roster spots are valuable, and when you're doing best ball, it's different than season long. And with best ball, you're trying to draft as if you're right and things are going to go perfectly, right? Just because every roster spot is valuable, and you'll find that out like as the season goes along, and like you guys, you feel like you're going in, you're like, oh, I got plenty of running backs or whatever, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh shit, like you hit a week where one of your guys gets injured, and then you have a handcuff and Madison are 2/3 of your running back committee all of a sudden, right? So then you got them taking 2/3 of it, and then the other guy goes in a bye. So you're dealing with Madison and Cook as your 2 running backs for that week. Like that shit thins out quick. So when you're wasting a spot on a handcuff that's not going to have any meaningful play in a game-to-game situation, versus if you had, let's say, Sermon and Mostert going into a situation like that where they were 2/3 of your running back exposure, then at least if those guys are going into a game, you know that they're both going to have significant roles in the backfield, right? So if you're comparing that to like Madison, who might get like 5 carries in a game, like when Cook's starting or whatever, it's just you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot when you're drafting handcuffs.
So let me give you something, because I was just kind of looking at it like a scenario. So you have Derrick Henry on your team, and you're in whatever round because you just drafted Darrington Evans, right?
Yes.
And then if you had an option between Darrington Evans for your 4th running back or Kenneth Gainwell or Boston Scott as your other one, I'm going Evans every time, because I don't think Gainwell or Boston Scott's going to even do anything anyway. And at least I know. Yeah. But so like scenarios like that, because of how the rounds match up. That's a
completely different scenario, because we know that Gainwell is not going to have a significant role.
But that's where you're drafting these guys, right? Evans, the Chubbards of the world.
I'm drafting Evans because I'm fading Henry. Because I'm in general with the 150 lineups that I've drafted, I'm fading Henry because I don't think he's going to hold up. Or I think that something is going to happen where my guy is going to get like a significant amount of work throughout the season, or at some point during the season. You know what I mean? Like I'm drafting Evans or a guy like that. Like Damian Williams is another guy. Just the second part of the handcuff, because I'm fading the first part of the handcuff earlier. I haven't drafted any Montgomery, I haven't drafted any Henry, but I've been drafting Evans and I've been drafting Damian Williams, because if something happens to those lead backs at some point during the season, I want all my exposure to be on the other side of those handcuffs. Whereas
fair enough.
Yeah, whereas a guy like Kenneth Gainwell, I'm not going to draft him because he's he's a satellite back, but I don't know how much play he's going to get, throughout the season. Whereas if I draft a guy like Sermon or a guy like Mostert, I can feel pretty confident that both those guys are going to get a lot of run in each game, it's going to be like a split almost.
They have Juwan Johnson listed as a wide receiver, not a tight end.
Oh, do they? I didn't. That's not. It's something important to talk about, because if Troutman is injured, then he's irrelevant.
He's irrelevant. Yeah, I just drafted him. Fuck. Talk about overreaction to a preseason injury. That was it right there. But I just got, I don't know. I thought I might need an extra tight end. Didn't realize they had him listed as a wide receiver.
I didn't know that either. They messed that up.
All right,
they
guys.
carted him off. I feel like it must be a significant injury if he's getting carted off, right?
All right, guys. So I'm looking at the projections right now, and as it stands, Bob has the lowest with 2,400. I'm right behind Bob with 2,591. And let's see, what was Snyder? Snyder, you're at 2,663, and Title, you're at 3,058. So according to Underdog, Title had the best projected draft out of us. So now let's go into
that's my cash side chalk. All my drafts, I don't have any really below 28. 27 sometimes, and like I said, and that's where JSU and that might be a donkey move and a fish move, and they mean nothing, you're for sure right, but
I don't think
how my
there's
brain
any,
works.
I don't think
know.
there's any right or wrong way to do it. I think there's different constructions that people have done research on that say, I mean, you can make a case for any, you can make a case for hero RB, you can make a case for zero RB, and you can make a case for anti-fragile or whatever the fuck they're calling it. Like there's a case to be made for like any type of way that you draft, right? But at the end of the day, it's how you're reading the room, like with the like with the way that the draft is going. It's outscoring your opponents. Like, so if you're in a draft where you notice that everybody is taking running backs, you can instantly know, well, shit, I'm going to get some value here on wide receivers. Like, everybody has taken, is going heavy on running backs. I'm going to focus on wide receivers and win that position. And then in the quote unquote dead zone of running backs, I'm going to grab my first running back. Because that's another thing. That's another narrative that people use in these drafts. And we've talked about this before where, like someone assigns a marketing term to a draft strategy like dead zone running backs, and we know like there's several good running backs that you can target in that quote unquote dead zone, like that could be like give you a decent running back one score while you're focusing on hitting all those elite wide receivers early in the draft, but like you can't really listen to marketing points and narratives and stuff when you're drafting. You ultimately have to try to win positions, and you have to try to get the highest score. And it's like they say you're at a disadvantage automatically if you don't get the first overall pick. But we don't know how it's going to pan out for Christian McCaffrey. We don't know how the season's going to work out for him. Like, they could decide to take it easy on him because he had a serious injury last year. They could decide, oh, Chuba Hubbard like is really explosive. Let's use him a significant amount and cut down on Christian McCaffrey's workload. Like there's all sorts of things that can happen where McCaffrey does not end up as the running back one. Last year, everybody was saying, oh, it's a cheat code. I just drafted McCaffrey and I drafted Lamar Jackson in round 2. Well, how did that work out for everybody? You know what I mean? Like, so it's all bullshit. It's all like reading the draft and drafting, like focusing on like what you want to do. If you want to win the wide receiver position, and just trying to win the wide receiver position, and then making sure you're not making stupid decisions with the other positions. Okay, I lost the running back position since I didn't get the first round or first 3 picks or whatever. So I'm going to focus on winning the wide receiver position, and then I'm going to draft an early quarterback and win the quarterback position. And then I'm going to try to pick up tight end while I'm at it. You can still win all those other positions and rack up a shitload of points, But, and that's where I think those strategies come into play. Like when you go hero RB, you're going hero RB because you know that you're going to focus on winning the wide receiver score, but you have an opportunity to pick up a running back that you think has the potential to be a top 5 scorer, or at least, not set you so far behind that that person that was able to draft the top 3 running back or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I get that.
Mm-hmm.
So let's look at these teams here. I'm going to go to look at Bobby's first. So Bobby, you ended up with Kyler Murray and Aaron Rodgers as your quarterbacks. You went with Mike Davis, James Robinson, Alexander Mattison, Gio Bernard, and Xavier Jones as your
I think Xavier
running
was
backs.
an overreaction. So was Juwan. I usually don't do that. I don't know why. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't think like Xavier is a bad pick. Like just because we don't know.
Bad Pringle.
Yeah, I mean just based on what we've seen with Darrell Henderson like last year, like not when he was a starting running back, they seemed like a little bit hesitant. Maybe they don't have like total confidence in him like they did with like Gurley like a few years ago, or even freaking C.J. Anderson or whatever. So you never know if Xavier Jones will get that opportunity. I don't think that's an overreaction to take him. For wide receivers, you drafted Devontae Adams, which is completes that Green Bay stack there. CeeDee Lamb, Jerry Jeudy, Rondale Moore, Marquez Callaway, Jacoby Myers, Van Jefferson, Amari Rodgers, and Juwan Johnson.
I didn't know Juwan Johnson was a wideout.
Yeah,
that's fair. Yeah, that one, that's a pass. They underdog messed that up.
Yeah,
that's a pass.
Yeah, I don't know why they have him as a wide
I meant a
receiver.
pass for you. I mean, we know you didn't mean to do that. You won't do that again.
Yeah, I wouldn't sweat that. Like, I mean, you never know. Like if they were using him in the slot, so
Yeah.
And then you got your tight ends are Kittle and Jonnu. So Bobby with this draft has potentially won the tight end position. He's potentially won the wide receiver position because he's super strong there too.
He definitely won quarterback.
I think the and the quarterbacks obviously are strong too. Like, so the only weak position that Bobby has is his running back.
Yeah.
So
I wish I went Stevenson from the Patriots instead of Xavier Jones or something like that, where I get more touchdown equity.
Yeah.
That kid Stevenson's a stud.
So let's go to Titletown. Title, you went with Dak Prescott. You got a super value on him, and you went with Joe Burrow, another value. For your running backs, you went with Saquon, Jonathan Taylor. So you got two strong running backs there. Like, that's a contender to win the running back position. A.J. Dillon and Kenneth Gainwell. For wide receivers, you went Cooper Kupp, Chris Godwin, Odell Beckham, Curtis Samuel, Marquise Brown, who I think you sniped him from me because I was looking to draft him. You took him at 111, so you got a good value on him. So you didn't really, I guess you can't really technically call that a snipe. Henry Ruggs, T.Y. Hilton, Jamison Crowder, Rashad Perryman, and Darius Slayton. So I'd say that's like kind of mid-level.
You don't like Kupp, so I know that. I mean, that's a little.
Or Godwin.
See, I
honestly.
I love Kupp. You don't like Kupp or Godwin.
More in like on a DraftKings.
I like
site
Kupp on DK.
More PPR. Yeah.
I know. I was 1 for 3.
DK.
JSU doesn't like him. I might be one of the only ones on him. So
I like him on DK.
I like him. I love him on
DK.
Yeah. Like, he's on every one of my DK teams.
Yeah, for sure.
Have you drafted any on DK yet? Title?
No, I'm probably in a 150 and just call it.
It's pretty soft
DK
over there. Like, all the
soft,
Sharks are over here.
Yeah,
I know it is. But
I feel like we should be in on DK on some of the. We should. That's what I'm saying. I just don't want to max out another 150. I don't know.
Yeah, I have enough invested, and I didn't even plan on doing one underdog. I didn't even plan on doing one best ball, and I'm here right now.
We are.
Title also got my Mark Andrews, and he got Anthony Ferkser. So Title took two of my Ravens weapons. Like, I would have liked to get one of those guys as opposed to Rashod Bateman, who I ended up with. Let's see, Snyder. You went with Matt Ryan and Tua for your quarterbacks. Running back, you went Eckler, Carson, Moss, Lindsey, and Penny. I feel that's pretty strong running back group. And that's another thing. Like, if you draft two of those running backs on the same team, like, I'm kind of drafting 5 when I do that too.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
And I've noticed lately the wide receivers at the end of the draft, all the guys that we were talking about being sneaky last week, you can't get them in the 18th round anymore. So it's like, it's already like a week past, and we're already, we already can't get our guys. So I don't mind taking like an extra running back, because it's like, who are you going to draft in the 18th round at this point? Like, you're really scraping. For wide receivers, you went Hopkins, Samuel, Sutton, McCole Hardman, Jalen Waddle, AJ Green, Josh Palmer, Quez Watkins. I love Quez Watkins and Demarcus Robinson. So you got a strong receiver group there. And for tight end, Kyle Pitts and Tyler Higbee. So strong on tight end too. That's a good draft. Let's see.
Oh, I lost you for a second.
We're saying good team.
All right.
Tight ends. I absolutely love your tight ends.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Team. Yeah. I kind of froze out there for a second or something.
All right. So for my team, I went with Lamar Jackson and Justin Fields as my quarterbacks. Running back, I went Antonio Gibson, Chase Edmonds, Ty Johnson, Darrington Evans, and I went Jerick McKinnon. I was kind of distracted in that 18th round. I wasn't really looking at the wide receivers too strong there, but I probably would have preferred to have a wide receiver instead of McKinnon there. Wide receiver, I went Stephon Diggs, Tyler Lockett, T. Higgins, Antonio Brown, Darnell Mooney, Elijah Moore, Rashod Bateman, Paris Campbell, and Donovan Peoples-Jones. So I feel pretty good about my wide receivers. Tight end, I went with Tanyan, and I went Cole Kmet to make that double stack with Justin Fields. Justin Fields is probably the same situation as Lamar Jackson, where you don't necessarily want a double stack with him. But I don't mind, with the tight end, getting a tight end and a receiver as a stack with him. And Lamar Jackson, I got that Rashod Bateman stack with him. Hopefully he pulls the Undertaker gif, and it's looking pretty good this season. But that remains to be seen.
I like it. It came out strong. I think all our teams are pretty good.
Yeah, that was I did feel like that was a tougher draft than normal. It felt like everybody was pretty sharp. I didn't really feel like any value was dropping. So, it was kind of tough to
got 1/3 of the draft already sharp guys, us four, and then got some good competitors.
Yeah, so that was I'd say that was pretty strong competition in that draft overall. It was pretty tough to find any value and stuff. Which this stage in the game, it's going to be harder and harder because more and more people are caught up on all the information at this point.
I'm going to have to try and draft earlier next year, maybe. I say that, but probably not. But
yeah, I was talking to JSU earlier about it. It's crazy how you can go through all these 12-person drafts and get to the end and you love every team you draft almost.
Yep.
Can we get him on here?
JSU,
I think he's next week, right?
He's coming on next week. Yeah, next Monday.
Need them JSU bucks.
So overall, good draft. And, just a reminder to our viewers, we got a ton of NFL content coming up. And if you use the code RPS NFL 15, you're going to get 15% off your subscription, the life of your subscription. So as long as you keep that subscription running, you're only going to be getting 15% off your monthly subscription costs. So that's a great deal. And the NFL content that we're going to have is going to be pretty significant. Going to have a ton of it. And our guys have been on major heaters this year, especially BigT, JSU, Hoop. Just hitting all those 100K tournaments and stuff, and they give you their plays every week in core plays and playbooks and cash game charts and everything. Title, you're involved in the cash chart, right? You tell a little bit about that.
Yeah, Hoop Man, going to myself. We play. We all play a lot of volume in cash games on both sites and all the sports. So give you core plays, give you our player pools. Big T, tournament players use it if they need a one-off. You look who's going to be chalky, what chalk you want to pivot off of. It's definitely a very good piece of content. Core plays, playbook. We're going to have NFL shows almost every day of the week. NFL is one of the best DFS sports. Most fish out there for sure. So it's definitely recommend signing up and joining the movement.
I think the cash chart just is one of the most underrated piece of content that we have, especially for tournament players. Like not just so you want to figure out what that main construction is, right? So
yeah, what chalk you want to eat, pivot out. Like if Eric Bledsoe's chalk, like I look at it, Eric Bledsoe's the chalk shooting guard. I know, different sport. I just will always fade Eric Bledsoe chalk, and then he's a chalky day. You pivot elsewhere on a site like FanDuel or something, and then right there you know how to get different, or if you want to eat it. So at tournament players, you need to know the chalk to the ownership to be good.
That's the biggest. I think it's huge to really know, and you're getting it from you, Hoop, and Mangone. So guys that are doing this every day and have been doing it for a while. It's really good, important information, I think. Simon, want to close us out?
Sure.
Sorry about that little objection.
Also, I'd say, like if you look above me, you can see that we have a promo code RunPure. If you sign up for a Underdog account using the promo code RunPure, they're going to give you a $25 match into your account, or not even a match. They're just going to give you $25 cash on your first deposit into your account, and that's good for one entry into the Best Ball Mania contest that we just showed you. You can also get 5 entries into the Puppy, which is only $5 to enter, and they got $1 million prize pool too. So lots of good contests that you can enter on Underdog, and as you can see, it's pretty fun to do. You call your friends, you all get in a draft, and you all just bust balls when you're drafting and snipe each other and stuff. So it's a cool thing to do, and you can always come and play along with us in the Discord. We're always talking about when we're joining these drafts and stuff, so you can try to snipe guys from us too. So that's it for this week's show. We'll be back next week. Hopefully we have JSU on next week, and he can tell you a little bit about his strategies that he's been using since he started a couple weeks ago doing the 2021 drafts. So we'll see you next week.
Peace.